Climbing back upon Mount Soapbox, and today's rant is about the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I realize most of the time I'm playing on a console, whether it's a PlayStation or Xbox, but fun fact, back in the day, I was a Nintendo fanboy. From the original Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, N64, even had a GameCube. So I am familiar with Nintendo. I have purchased a few other consoles and games over the years. And a lot of people were really excited about the Switch 2 until it was officially announced, along with information that we're going to go over that a lot of people are not happy about. The good news is it's coming June 5th, 2025, but if you don't have the money, well, I guess you won't be buying yourself a Switch 2. Back in 2017, I did get the Switch 1 along with Zelda Breath of the Wild, and by the way, my original Switch still works just fine. I paid $300 for my Switch back in 2017. So what is the price tag now? $450 for the Switch 2. Yes, I realize inflation is a thing, plus the tariff issue. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, that is a major jump in the price tag from $300 all the way up to $450. It's not just the console price tag that's the issue, it's the games themselves. As of right now, most AAA games are $70 US, but Nintendo Switch 2 games are going to be $80 US. For example, Mario Kart World. They're finally coming out with a new Mario Kart game after years of milking Mario Kart 8, so that's good for Mario Kart fans. But it's going to be $80 for that game. Unless you want to buy the Switch 2 Mario Kart World bundle, which is $500 US. And I guess that's the better deal. If you can get the Mario Kart World Switch 2 bundle, I would go for that. Especially if you intend on getting both a Switch 2 as well as Mario Kart World. But still, that's about the same price as a PS5. The next issue that a lot of fans have, especially those of you out there that prefer physical copies of your games, the quote-unquote game key cards instead of actual cartridges for the Switch 2, which will basically be the quote-unquote physical copies that you can purchase at stores for these games, even though you're not actually getting the physical copy of the game. Once again, it is a game key card, which requires internet in order to download the game onto your Switch 2. Now, I realize that throughout most of the world, the internet has gotten surprisingly better, but there's still definitely plenty of parts and regions and countries in the world that don't have the best internet, and it's not cheap to have internet, especially during these trying times. So a lot of gamers prefer physical copies so they don't have to deal with the internet nonsense. But unfortunately, you're going to have internet in order to download your game. That's $80. If you go buy it physically, yeah, it's not even the cartridge. It is a game key card. So that's definitely another issue that a lot of Nintendo fans are having right now. Next is, whereas the previous version that came out of the Nintendo Switch had the OLED OLED screen, which a lot of people really like. The Switch 2 is going back to an LCD screen. So a lot of people feel like that's a major step backwards when it comes to the screen on the console. I believe that's how the majority of the Nintendo Switch community feels about this particular topic. Then there's the battery life. And this is insane because the Switch and the Switch 2 are meant to be played on the go. Yes, you can play them at home on your couch on the big screen if you want. I've done that before. But a lot of people like to take their Switch on the go when they're traveling or on vacation or on the train, on the plane, or via bus, whatever. And, the lifespan on the battery is very limited. The Switch 1 has a 9-hour max battery lifespan. Apparently, the battery lifespan for Switch 2 is going to be less. 6.5 hours max for a portable game console that's going to cost you between $450 to $500. That is unacceptable in my opinion. And Nintendo is so greedy that they're going to charge you money for the tech demo. In the past, you could get the tech demos for free, which kind of gives you a little sample of what to expect when it comes to the power of the Switch 2 console. The price tag for the Switch 2 welcome to our tech demo is going to be $10. Nintendo, seriously, you're charging $80 for the Switch 2 games, $450 for the base price for the Switch 2, $500 for the bundle with Mario Kart World. You're really going to charge your fans an additional $10 for the tech demo? Talk about greedy. And despite all that, there's still obviously Nintendo fans out there that ride or die Nintendo. I understand they make some really good quality games that I've loved over the years. Super Mario, Zelda, the list goes on and on. The pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 in the US will not start on April 9th, 2025. In order to assess the potential impact of the tariffs and evolving market conditions, Nintendo will update the timing at a later date. The launch date is still for June 5th, 2025. A lot of American Nintendo fans are not really happy about this, but to be fair, the blame for the tariffs can't entirely be blamed on Nintendo for that issue. In conclusion, a lot of Nintendo fans are upset with Nintendo over all of these issues. If it was just one issue, that'd be one thing. But all of these combined, yeah, that's not exactly a good way to treat your loyal fan base, Nintendo. And as a longtime Nintendo fanboy, I have no intention of purchasing the Switch 2 anytime soon. As I already pointed out, I did buy my original Switch on launch night for $300 US, along with Breath of the Wild. But I will not be doing that this time around. For one thing, the only big game that's coming that's a Nintendo-only game is Mario Kart World. But there's no new Mario game besides Mario Kart. You know what I mean, like a flagship Super Mario game. And there's no new Legend of Zelda game. Yeah, there's some enhances coming for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And there's other third-party games that's also going to be making their way over to the Switch 2 that a lot of Nintendo fans are excited about. But at the same time, I already have a lot of those games on PS5 or Xbox Series, or some of you probably have those games on PC. Eventually, I will probably purchase a Switch 2, but not anytime soon. I'm going to wait for there to be a sale on both the console itself as well as the games. I feel like $70 is a fair price for AAA games already. Some of those games that come out aren't even worth $70. And I know that Nintendo has better quality when it comes to most of their products game-wise, but still, they don't have to charge $80 for Mario Kart World. Till I eventually get around to purchasing a Switch 2, I'm just going to stick to the Switch 1 because I rarely play mine anyways. And occasionally, every once in a while, I do dust it off and plug it back in for an update. And then I go run around Hyrule as Link in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. But that's pretty much it. And you know what? My interests right now lie with a lot of other games that are coming out in 2025. There's so many games that I'm already planning on buying and purchasing that I'd rather spend my time and money on besides the Switch 2 and Mario Kart World. I'd rather take that $500 and put it towards Mind's Eye, Mafia the Old Country, Ghost of Yotei, the remakes for Oblivion, Black Flag, those are supposed to be coming this year, as well as GTA 6. So either I'm going to wait for a sale for the Switch 2 or wait for the Switch 2 OLED with probably another Zelda or Super Mario game somewhere down the road. Are you planning on pre-ordering a Nintendo Switch 2? Do you think the price is reasonable or too damn high? Your thoughts, views, and opinions regarding the Nintendo Switch 2, as well as the price tag for the games, and as well as everything else we ranted about, welcome below in the comments section.